Hello everyone, this is a History Police video. It's to review the last episode of A Serpent Queen Season 2. Alright, so I think first of all we're gonna do a bit of a breakdown, but I have some things that I want to address because I've received lots of comments. It doesn't come, I think, from my subscribers, because my subscribers will know my credentials and why I'm doing this channel. I love historical fiction. I love historical fiction because I love history. I don't expect any entertainment to be 100% accurate. But for me, if you don't say that it's going to be fantasy like My Lady Jane, if you don't disclose that it's based on, and if you used kind of the name of a historical person, changing the dates of their birth or of their death is problematic. Changing the timeline of their lives is problematic. Changing what actually happened is problematic. And destroying what historians have tried for decades to, when they try to debunk myths, when they try to destroy a dark legend and just use it and just make it even 100 times worse because there's such a big reach, is problematic. And no, I'm not stupid, and no, I don't hide behind my degrees. I'm just telling you that historical fiction, there is the word fiction, right? And there's like creativity, and there's creative license and artistic license, and I'm all for it. But there's also the term historical. If you want to create a show about a dark queen who's malicious, but also where you understand her vulnerabilities and where you understand where she's coming from and where you give her a bit of humanity, you can. You don't have to call it the Serpent Queen. You don't have to call her Catherine de Medici. That's the first point I wanted to make. I'm very passionate about this. I'm happy to have debates about this. I'm happy for you to come at me in the comments. But please bear in mind, historical fiction, there's the word historical. History. Don't like history? Don't watch a show about historical fiction. And of course I know that historical fiction is not a historical documentaries. I know that there's entertainment part. But let me tell you that the real history is more entertaining than all the bullshit that has been shown, not only in that last episode, but in that season overall. And the first season for me was a bit more entertaining and a bit more remarkable in the ways it was shown. I think we really had the struggle of Catherine de Medici as a young person. Everything like there was lots of things that were wrong, but like kind of the rivalry between Diane de Poitiers and Catherine de Medici, and the struggle and the love triangle. Well, it's not really a love triangle. It's basically Catherine de Medici between the middle of a love story. So like here, I think it was just much better represented, like the struggle of a life. In this second season, and I'm so scared for the third one, because obviously we saw at the end of episode 8, you saw Anjou, and he's going to become king, and there's such a dark legend around Henry III that is so unfair. I would like to address as well, like, rumors about his homosexuality. His homosexuality was used by his detractors at the end of his life. It was used when he was dead. It is a dark legend. It is to diminish him, because at the time when you were homosexual, you were not seen as a proper king. And so like all of this, and I think it makes a disservice to the past, but also to the present, and thinking that, he was a homosexual. He was not. He was actually extremely in love with his wife, Louise de Lorraine Vaudémont. And he had mistresses that he tried to hide in order not to hurt her feelings. But this idea that he had minions, yeah, he had favorites. He called them his mignons. But that was a way to destroy his reputation. And actually, they were just people that he fought with during battles, so he was really close to. He trusted them. And in 16th century France, it was really hard to trust people, and you really trust these men, and they were extremely loyal to him. And in the letters, you have, I kiss your hand, I kiss your feet. And people say, oh, maybe there's something here. Maybe Anjou is homosexual here because he kissed someone's hands and someone's feet. No, actually, it's just a normal, traditional way of showing loyalty. Catherine de Medici says it to her sons. She says it to other people, and other people say it to her. It's just a traditional way to show loyalty. There's nothing else. There's nothing romantic. There's nothing sexual about it. And I would also like just to point out that Henry III was someone who was extremely graphic in his letters. I've read thousands of his letters. So don't come at me telling me I don't know Henry III. I know Henry III like the back of my hand. Yeah? I've read all his letters. I had to for my PhD and I had to for my first academic book. And let me tell you that he's the man who is he's like an open book. He's extremely graphic. He's not like Catherine de Medici where there's a bit of reservation, though I would argue that it's not entirely true because she can get really angry in her letters. Or Elizabeth. Elizabeth has way more reservations in her writing. So to get to know Elizabeth, you have to really read ambassadors' reports and to see how she was behaving and to see how other people were seeing her. With Henry III, is just an open book. And just to give you an example, and it's going to be, but he wrote about his poo in his letters to his privy councillors. And I was in the archives reading that the colour, smell of his poo. He described it. And because he was talking about his health and saying he had a bad day. And I was just saying, oh my God, this man has no filter. And I could imagine, can you imagine the privy councillor being like, okay, TMI here, mate. Like, that's just too much. So when I said that, if Henry III had slept with one of his minions, he would have said something like, oh my God, the night when I had your skin on me, when I thought, there's never, ever any evidence of any of this. That's my first point. And he's so, like, in season 2, he's absolutely vilified. Actually, I think it's the worst portrayal of Henry III. And to be fair, that's not even a good one. So, like, anyway, so that's the first thing. The second thing about the last episode, it is ludicrous, right? So I don't mind that they created Sister Edith. What I mind is like they gave her like much more power than, than this woman. Like there was no woman like this. There was no woman in Front Tower had more power than Jeanne d'Albret or Henri de Navarre or Louis of Condé, right? Oh, Gaspard de Coligny. So like that's a bit off. The scene where Jeanne d'Albret is poisoned with gloves stems from a chronicle and a myth around the dark legend of Catherine de Medici that she poisoned Jeanne d'Albret. And obviously in that scene you have one of Catherine de Medici's ladies doing the deeds, like saying like, here, the gloves, and I love your hands, and it didn't happen like that. Jeanne d'Albret had been ill for quite a while, and she died in June, so she didn't die just before, in August, just before the wedding. She died in June, and she had approved the marriage. There was no reason, absolutely none, for Catherine de Medici to do that. There was no question of Margot at that time about, her virginity. Like, I think there was, like, her purity. There are rumors that she had a love story with Henry de Guise, so not Francis of Guise, the man we see, like the whole thing is not even the right character. It's because they say it will confuse the audience. Is it hard for the audience to understand that there's a father and a son? Is it too complicated for people to understand that? I don't think you're stupid. I think you would have understood. So, okay, I'm not gonna get started. Am I? I feel like I am. I'm a bit feisty, I'm a bit feisty. I feel feisty about it. So, absolutely untrue. Jeanne d'Albret was not poisoned by Catherine de Medici. The fact that we repeat all these myths, it means that it's much harder for the historian to get the truth out, to say that it's not true. Now, I understand that you want entertainment, right? Like, you want it. I like the scene where, there's the Catherine de Medici's girl, and she goes to see Sister Edith, and, she gives the regency. There's no regency to give. Catherine de Medici in 1572 is no longer regent. Charles is full king. He's ruling. She's an advisor. Of course she calls the shots still. Of course she's very close to power. But there's no regency to give. She's not in control. She can't give anything to anyone. So, that's a bit ridiculous. Again, so here she's saying, an offer you can't refuse.
I bring with me today the Regency of France, signed by the Queen Mother to Sister Edith.
But at the same time, what is well done here is that finally we have the wedding. Finally, we see that she's bringing all the Protestants to Paris. What I don't like is like we basically saying that Catherine planned everything, planned the massacre that is going to happen. And she didn't. She really didn't. I also hated it that it was Henry III leading these men, killing people and saying, the Guises send their regards, or the Guises, say hello, or they want you to know that it's the Guises. It is problematic because the Guises, they were actually, did they start the massacre? No, but they did the assassination attempt of Gaspard de Coligny. That will trigger the massacre. What happened was that you had the Guises who wanted revenge for the death of their father, Francis I, who was still alive in that show. And because they wanted the revenge of the death of their father, they made an assassination attempt, and it's going to succeed, of Gaspard de Coligny. And from that moment, everything is going to spiral down, and the whole city is going to burn, and people are going to die, and are going to be massacred because they are Protestants. Catherine de Medici, had nothing to do with it. Charles had nothing to do with it. Charles was quite of a weak king, and even if he tried really hard, and they actually opened their doors for Protestants. So Walsingham, who was actually the English ambassador at the French court at the time, not Throckmorton, was saved by Catherine de Medici, was saved by Charles IX. They opened their doors to Protestants who were, and I need you to understand why there was no point for them to have this massacre. Simply because Catherine de Medici could not rule with her son if the country was divided. So if you kill the population, first of all, you're not killing all the Protestants, right? You have all the other Protestants all over the country. They were trying really hard to get a marriage negotiations at that time between, Francis of Alençon is going to become Anjou, who's dead in that show. Oh my God. Ridiculous. With Elizabeth I. So it was not in their interest whatsoever to be seen as people who kill Protestants when they're trying to have a big alliance with the Protestant country, because Catherine de Medici wants her sons to be on different thrones. Anjou, in 1572, is close to be elected King of Poland. So she wanted to have 3 sons, 3 kings. Charles, who was not ill in 1572, so there's no oh my God, you don't have long enough yet. He's going to die in 1574. All this, honestly, it drives me absolutely bananas. Then you have Anjou, who became King of Poland before coming back and becoming King of France when his brother Charles died in 1574. And then you would have had Francis of Anjou becoming King of England by marrying Elizabeth I. So Catherine had an ambition of having an empire, being the matriarch of this empire, being the head of this empire, through alliances, through marriages, not through bloodshed. She's a diplomat. She's politically astute. She gains nothing from chaos. The Guises, on the other hand, would benefit from chaos because they do not think the Valois are strong enough to be King of France, and they are princes of blood, which means they have rights to the crown. And they have Mary Stuart, who in 1572 just tried to get the throne of England with a Ridolfi plot of 1571, and she's not gonna stop. So it is the Guises who are like creating so much trouble and making things so much harder for Catherine de Medici and Elizabeth I. And that's why you have these two queens finding ways to work together until their interests are going to be so different that they can't reconcile and they can't be allies anymore. So that episode, what struck me is the fact that all dark myth, all dark legend, everything that historians have tried so hard to debunk is brought back into the popular culture. And I think here we're missing a massive opportunity, because here the real history is Catherine trying so hard to bring peace, trying so hard to make alliances, trying so hard to make a name for herself as a political leader behind her son. We have 1572, there's no regency again. And it's all destroyed by this massacre. And I want you to understand how horrified she must have been, because the Guises and the Catholic League contested outrightly her power, her sons, and tried to destroy a massive political alliance. Now, in terms of Margaret of Valois, did she want to marry Henry? No. And we're going to see that actually it's I should make a video about their marriage, because it's a very interesting one. They're not going to... Henry of Navarre and Margaret of Valois didn't want to marry each other. Did they despise each other? Probably at the beginning, yes. But what's so interesting is that they're going to... she's going to have her own life, and she's going to have her lovers. And that's why we're trying to, also to destroy her reputation in that show. But it happened later, and she's a total free spirit. But Henry of Navarre is a womanizer. Always getting women. Always. Very bad reputation as well. Absolutely dreadful. He has so many mistresses anyway. But what's so interesting is that at some point they two became friends. I think because they were so similar, they could not be together as a couple, but they were going to become good friends. Then they're going to have divorce annulment, and he's going to marry Medici, and he's going to keep inviting Marguerite to Valois, she's going to be called the last Valois, because she's the one who, outlived all her family. And he calls her my sister, and he keeps inviting her at his court, and she keeps coming, and she keeps having dinner, and she even became friends with Mary of Medici. So again, like the moment I like, is the wedding night, where obviously Marguerite of Valois really didn't want to have sex, and Henry of Navarre respected it. And I think that here we have a hint of historical accuracy. Well, we show that his kindness towards her, and the fact that, I think it's a hint that, there's like some mutual respect that is going to be built. And that's actually true, and that's what's going to happen in reality and for the rest of their lives. So what I thought here is that we had a missed opportunity to show Catherine de Medici as someone who was a true political leader, who was not, scheming and trying to kill people or enemies. The fact that she killed Anne de Montmorency, obviously he was dead way before, but she was not that woman. She was not that dark queen. She was so intelligent. She was so powerful. She was so politically astute. Honestly, she deserves a better show. She really does. But then, having said that, the acting, I found it remarkable, of everyone, even the one who plays Henry III. It's just so far. It's basically just like the portrayal of all the dark legends. So Catherine de Medici is Henry III. Even the Guises. Or the Guises were trying to make them victims a bit, like, they did nothing, they had nothing to do with it, and really? Like, who's buying that? I don't know. So yeah, these are my thoughts about this last episode. Let me know what you thought. I know that for some of you it's so entertaining and you love it, and great, but please then make sure that you read the real history, because it's so untrue. And I think it would have made it such a better show if we had just focused on what actually happened, because it was so dramatic, it was so horrible. Like, you know, we could have made a night of like of fear for Catherine, seeing her city, Paris, like in flame, like, and not being able to do anything, losing her control. Like, we could have, like, I can see a scene where we see her panicked, and what are people gonna think about her, and how she's gonna, you know, she knows that people are gonna blame her and her son and everything she's built. You know what I mean? That would have been true history, and that would have been as entertaining, if not more. Anyway, I think I've made my case. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think, and thank you again for being here. Bye.